with kids that do that to you.
Mine over here.
I ain't got no hair, so I can't. So I don't know. It may be gray. I don't know. Mine just see through.
Oh, wow, to see. Hold on, man.
I'm waiting a few more minutes for a few people to log on, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Just to catch all up, basically, I did a 5-part series on just what I call epic, integrating cultures and educating professionals on integrating cultures. So basically, the dynamic of college basketball is that there's a lot of white coaches that coach black players, and it's just a mixture of cultures. So bringing up issues that people don't normally talk about and having conversation about it, from ADs to women's coaches, men's coaches, international players. So today, just to recap and a summary and just get the players' perspective. So everything we talk about is just really getting the perspective of the other side. Like, coaches have always got the idea of how they think you should play or what should happen, but you really don't know unless you make those around you better, or unless you listen to the players. So that's just a summary. And then, like I said, when we talk, anything is y'all show. So any way you want to take it, we can take it. I got a list of predetermined questions that I ask after y'all introduce yourselves, because, I mean, y'all done played some countries. I can't read and write. I got IEP. So I ain't going to try to pronounce the countries y'all been in.
Dude, that's wrong. I've been in mine's all simple.
Chill out, Los, man. Yeah.
Man.
Wait about another minute. Oh, Jordan Bell on us. He said his phone was messing up and he couldn't get on. So Jordan Bell. So it's just us three.
All right, that's cool.
Hold on, bro. I'm trying to do this. Get the junk to my computer, man.
You should have been doing that, Los.
Man, it was tripping, bro. I should have started watching that dang on TBT, man, and that threw me all off.
That's that Eastern Michigan education.
You got the same one, fool.
Yeah, that's why I got an IEP.
Yeah, we're the same boat. You just sailed a different way.
Los, whenever you're ready, we're going to start.
Go ahead, man. I can do both.
Right. First of all, I want to thank everybody for joining. It's been a great 5 episodes leading up into this point. Today is like this. Usually I got on a shirt and tie, but this is what my most comfortable segment is. This when I end up back in the locker room, when I end up back with the players. As I've talked with my expertise, my advice, my opinions throughout the 5 parts has been from a player's perspective as well as a coach's perspective. As many of you know, I played Division I football and basketball, and as I've taken on the coaching journey, just really finding a way to educate those around me, because I understand the value and the power of a coach. And Rising Coaches Search Firm, what I like to say, the tree for the treeless, has done a great job of providing a platform for me to do that. So as we get started this week, we got Romeo Travis, who played at the University of Akron, played high school with LeBron, been an outstanding pro last 10 years plus. And Carlos Medlock, who played at Eastern Michigan. I had the luxury of having him be my college teammate. He's been a professional for the last 10 plus years as well. So just to see, tonight is just to recap all the subjects that we talked about and get the players' perspective. And then also just to see, as a coach, what do players need in order for them to make us great? Because as we say, like, recruiting is the base of coaching. And if recruiting is going to be the base, then it's important to know the product, the person, the player and what makes them ticks and what makes them operate at the highest level. So Jordan Crawford was supposed to join us. He had some technical difficulties with his phone and stuff, so he wasn't able to make the call. But still, I mean, we got two high seasoned veterans here that's gonna deliver a lot of positive information. So Ron, we can go with you first. Just introduce yourself, your background, school, where you played, everything else.
Romeo Travis, as Trav called me. Most people call me Rome. But I'm from Akron, Ohio. I went to St. Vincent St. Mary, class of 2003. We won a national championship that year. Then I went on to Akron U, the first 20-win season, and we started they won 12 in a row since we started that 20 wins. And I played overseas 13 years, professional. I won MVPs. I won championships. And yeah, so that's me, Romeo. Keep it nice and simple. I don't want to go too deep.
Well, I'm Carlos Medlock, from Detroit. I went to Eastern Michigan with Trav. I was his point guard. Been playing professionally for 9 years now. Haven't been having a good run doing that, and still trying to continue to make them runs and stay healthy and do all that stuff as a pro athlete, and continue to build myself up to have a strong career and finish strong.
We just gonna walk it back. We're gonna take it from high school all the way through. Carlos, he was freshman player of the year in our league. I want to say a lot of media outlets, freshman player of the year. Romeo, obviously, you had a lot of success at Akron. You guys won a lot of championships, a lot of games over the years. But the recruiting process, two totally different recruiting processes. Los, let's talk about your recruiting process first. And I think this is so important on why you chose Eastern Michigan, the other schools that you had opportunities to go to. Because as coaches, we are always looking for the best, scenarios, the best tools, the best strategies in order to recruit kids and show them that that our institution and our school is the best place for them. So let's just go in history and talk about your recruiting process.
Well, for me, I really ain't started getting no offers until probably going into my senior year. AAU kind of is the one that kind of got me more looks or whatever. I pretty much didn't have no offers, and then played AAU going out of my 11th grade year going into my senior year, and then started to get a little bit more offers, but all of them was low majors, and I kind of see myself like a diamond in the rough. I felt like I was good enough to play at a high level, but like I said, the chances of that was kind of slim because of me getting myself out there. We wasn't in a social media era, so guys, you had to really have a name or do well on the AAU circuit to get your name out there. So as my senior year went on, I had a good year. Had a good year, and then I had 3 or 4 good mid-major offers. One was Canisius. Actually went on a visit there, but I just didn't like the school, and felt like I should be at a better school. So, and I got that early before the season even started my senior year. So I just had confidence in myself, and I turned it down, knowing that I have a better opportunity. And then after the season, came down to my last 2, which was Eastern Michigan and South Alabama. Well, I didn't want to be far away from home. Looking back at it, probably should have been, but I just wanted to be close. And Coach Charles Ramsey, who was the Eastern coach, I think everything he said to me on my visit was kind of the truth, in a sense, as as I played my whole career, he told me that I will have the ball will be in my hands. He's gonna build the team around me. And South Alabama, they kind of told me that I would be a backup. You know, I would have to earn my right to be, you know, the starting point guard, which was no problem. I had no problem with that because I already knew that, you know, I was better than that point guard. But I didn't feel like they gave me that chance of, you know, coming in and win that starting spot. I think they just told me whatever and just automatically written me off to be a backup, which I feel I wasn't. So I chose to go to Eastern, and everything that, you know, Coach Ramsey had told me, as far as me being the lead guy to run that team, it came to be true, and I think that was a smart decision by me, and it turned out to be, you know, a successful college career.
So how much throughout the recruiting process, Carlos, did you deal with the head coach and the assistant coaches with either of the schools?
Well, shoot, at the beginning, I don't even remember talking to not one head coach. It was mostly built around, you know, the assistant coaches. So I guess the head coaches who really make the last say on, you know, who they want to come to their school anywhere it goes. So you talking to all these assistants, and then get in there, you know, you probably don't really get to talk to the head coach unless he really wants you. And that's how I felt with Ramsey. I never talked to no assistant coach with Ramsey. It was always him. You know, all the other schools, it was the talking. I had more relationships with the assistant coach than the head coach. I actually honestly got to talk to the head coach when I was getting ready to go on a visit. So that's like, I don't know how it was for Rome, but, you know, and I think that's kind of how the recruiting thing go now. Either if the school really wants you, that head coach is really going to contact you no matter what. Even if the assistant coach bring you to his knowledge on knowing who you is, if he never knew who you is. The fact that when they notice you and they really want you, they're going to contact you no matter the situation.
Rome, your situation was a little different from a recruiting process. You obviously got a movie over about your high school experience, and then you played for your high school head coach actually at Akron. So if you could just go through the offers you had, the opportunities you had, and what went into the decision-making process from your perspective. You muted. You gotta unmute yourself.
Bad. My bad. For me, I was a dual sport athlete. I played football and basketball. Ironically, I was getting bigger offers to play football. So I got offered Missouri, Purdue, Connecticut, Pitt, all to play football. And all those football coaches told me I could play both. Like, oh, you can come here and play both. But I knew they were lying because I had never spoke to any basketball coaches. So I'm like, nah, that's not, you know, you're already lying to me. So that's not a good situation. And I had to sneak to play football because my mom didn't want me to play football in the first place. So I knew that she wasn't going to let me play football in college. So that was kind of like, you know, just a pipe dream. So I really just told the football coaches I'm going to focus on basketball. And I got recruited early, but my problem was that I played with a really good player. And playing alongside a really good player, it could be good for you for the exposure. But if someone's so good, it also could be bad for you because they start seeing like, oh, you're not really that good. You just play next to somebody that's really good. And so for me, my recruiting process was pretty good. I don't want to say fortunately, but LeBron got hurt one summer and I played AAU without him, me, Drew, and CJ Anderson from Cincinnati. And I got recruited, and Butler offered me a scholarship my junior year, going into my senior year. They came to Akron to watch me play in the pickup game, and I didn't know the severity of the situation. Like, I was just like joking around. I didn't take it serious. And then they pulled their offer. And then my high school, the assistant coach was, you know, pretty upset with me. He just told me like I kind of blew a scholarship from Butler because I didn't take the pickup game serious. But I never played pickup serious, so it was like a weird situation. And so going on in the summer, I was recruited by mid majors, and my high school coach, he called me and said, if you don't get an offer bigger than Akron, you got to come to Akron. And me being 16 at the time, I said, all right, cool, like I don't care, whatever. And so as time goes on, school's not really recruiting me like I thought I should have been recruited, and so it came down to Robert Morris and Akron on signing day. And Coach Drew, my head coach at St. V at the time, told me to wait to sign because you don't know what kind of senior year you're going to have. You may have a great year, but I didn't want to go somewhere where I was accepted. I wanted to go somewhere where I was wanted. And I looked at the roster and I seen the guys that was already there, and I knew that I could go there and play right away. I may not play 30, 40 minutes, but I can get on the court right away. But I never spoke to the head coach. The first time I met the head coach at Akron U was my first day at school. I never spoke to him, never met him, didn't know what kind of offense he ran, none of that. Like, it was crazy that I even signed there. My head coach from high school, Keith Denbrock, that had became an assistant, he had called me on signing day and said, I'm tired of talking about it. Sign the damn papers, and hung up on me. And that's how I ended up at Akron. I just signed the papers, put them in the mail, and I had committed to Akron. In hindsight, I wish I would have had a little bit more guidance and a little bit more trust in Coach Drew. And I wish I had a little bit more guidance from my mom, because Coach Drew was my AAU coach and my high school coach. So it wasn't like I had two different voices. It was like I had one voice, and I didn't know, I didn't trust him enough to really hear what he was saying. I was listening, but I wasn't hearing what he was saying. And I had a great career at Akron. My jersey's retired, so I can't like look back and complain. But that was my recruiting process from high school to University of Akron. So that's what happened there.
Rome, you made a statement. You said I wanted to go somewhere where I was accepted instead of wanted, right?
No, I wanted to go somewhere where I was wanted and not accepted.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I said it the wrong way. And we had Dr. Greg on here last week, and we're gonna get into some political, racial, black, white type things as we move on with the show. But he said diversity is being invited to the party, and inclusion is being asked to dance, right? So he broke it down. He separated it to where it made a lot of sense to me. From a coach's perspective, what things in your mind made you feel wanted versus accepted? And like, what was it? How did you determine which one of those were when you were talking to coaches and listening to coaches and around coaches?
When I was talking to coaches, the things that they were talking to me about were superficial. A lot of these coaches wanted to make me feel comfortable by offering me, oh, we got the best ribs in town. Oh, we got beautiful girls down here. Like, stuff that don't, like that don't matter. Like, when we talking about basketball, like, I don't care what kind of ribs you got down there. I don't care what kind of girls are on campus. Like that doesn't move me. Like, like what about, like, they were talking about superficial things, not about like, about how I fit into their program. Like, not about my role going into their program, not like lying to me. Like, my coach told me, like, hey, you got a chance to play. I don't know how much. I'm not saying you're going to come here and start. I'm not going to say you're going to come here and get 20 shots a game, but you literally have a chance to play. You come here, you outwork some guys, you're going to play more than you thought you would. And so, like, for me, that was a challenge. Like, I'm like, okay, like, I can go there and play as a freshman. Like, from our time, our era, me and Los's era, guys work their way up. Like, you sit 2 years and then you play your last 2 years. And so, like, that was kind of like the thing. Los went into a situation where he got to play right away because he was just obviously the best point guard there. I walked into a situation where one guy got injured, another guy graduated and left, and then, it was me. Like, I got a chance to play as a freshman. And that's what I liked about the coaches was they just told me just the truth. Like, don't lie to me, tell me I'm about to start, get 15, 20 shots a game, play 40 minutes. When I get there, it's a F you, you're a stupid freshman, blah, 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 blah. Like, nah, just tell me the truth. You come here, you work hard, you got a chance to play. If you don't,
right.
You're not. Period. And that was a challenge to me because I felt like I was better than a lot of guys, but I had to show that I was better than a lot of guys.
Absolutely.
And Lowe's, we talk about it all the time. Hindsight's 2020. You go back and you look, no matter how successful your career was, right? I was a two-sport Division I athlete. I had a chance to play overseas, and you sit back and you look and you're like, man, if I only would have, if I known this, if I had known that. And then there's guys that never even scratch the surface. They never make it through their freshman year, and they make that same statement. And a lot of it is just the guidance and the people around you, the people that's in your camp. So, Lowe's, I'm going to go to you. And I just, when you look back, we talked about the recruiting process. Now I'm in college, right? And you look back as a pro to college, what are some things that you see that college coaches, college administrators, the school itself could have helped you be better when you moved on from there, right? When you didn't know what was next. So now you know what's next. You're like, man, I wasted 4 or 5 years of having an opportunity to do X, Y, and Z to make myself better now.
As far as on the court?
On the court, off the court, however you feel.
I mean, well, for me, it can kind of go both hand in hand. I don't feel like we was prepared for the afterlife of basketball or the trend into pro life of basketball. A lot of guys go into different ways. As far as even you going to the NBA or overseas, no one still is not prepared for it unless you bump into somebody who's a mentor who's already in that light to help guide you slowly in there. But as far as transitioning into a pro life, especially overseas, man, I had no clue what I was getting into. I had no clue what agent should I take. I had no clue on how to get a good offer. I had none of that. I had to experience every single thing on my own. And just by talking to other people, like the only reason I got over there, people probably don't even know, is through Rome. Like I called Rome one time to look for an agent. He shot me a guy name. I hit him up, and I got over there. Luckily, you know what I mean.
So you owe me 10%. So you owe me 10%.
I still owe you, bro. I do. Still owe you. So
I owe you. You would never be broke.
Exactly.
I didn't even know. Hey, Los, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, bro, when I had the time, I'm pretty sure you know exactly when.
I know what you're talking about now, but I didn't know that. Like, that was everything that led for you going overseas. I know. I remember that conversation. I just didn't know that was what got you overseas.
Yeah, that's what kicked it off, because I started off in the D League. Now it's the G League, but I didn't like how that would go. But I didn't like how that road was going. So when I came home, like I had no offers, no one. I already assumed like I had a good senior year. Teams gonna be calling me overseas when that's not the case.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so just getting over there and doing all that just by calling somebody that I knew. So, and the fact that I had a coach that was on the staff who already been overseas, like I wish he would have just set me down and told me the breakdown of how to get over there. You know what I mean? I didn't have that guidance. As far as like the afterlife of basketball, like I'm still trying to figure that out as well. But like I wish I would have had somebody set me up a goal right at the end, right? Like even when I was doing college, I wish I would have had somebody just set me down and say, look, Lois, you need to do this right now to help build on whatever you're trying to do after basketball. Like I didn't even know my career would be 9 years. I didn't know I would be 9 years in and still going. But just think, if I was in college at the time working on building basketball academy or anything, my own construction business, anything, if I would have had somebody just to guide me through that, I didn't have none of that. So now I'm still working on it by the relationship that I have. And I think like, especially for an athlete, when we focus so much on basketball, we're not even thinking about all that other stuff. At 18, 19 years old, we still thinking about our dream. So we had that type of guidance from the administration on down. I just think it would have been a better road for any athlete, not just myself.
Rome, I'm gonna pose the same question to you. I mean, it's coming from two totally different institutions.
Man,
At the time,
if I could go back and do anything over, for one, I would actually pay attention in class and take something. Like I took a class 2 summers ago, and I actually walked away like, man, enlightened. Like I actually learned something. And when I was in college, I was just trying to get through it. Like I didn't walk away trying to better myself in the classroom.
Right.
I was just trying to get through it. Like, man, oh, I got algebra. Let me get this C real quick. You know what I'm saying? Like just to get through it. But like I wish I would have took life more seriously. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying not enjoy the college life, but just take these things more serious that would have been practical to my life. I took a lot of pointless classes when I was at Akron U my first 2 years. That's why I went through 3 academic advisors in 4 years. And so after my 4th year, after taking summer school, I was still a year and a half away from graduating. So like, you know what I'm saying? It was a lot of time wasted. Like, you know what I mean? I ended up having to finish my degree out of pocket. I paid for my own degree because like that's how much time I had wasted, like when I was in school. You know what I'm saying? So I wish I would have took that more serious. I wish I would have not relied so much on the university to guide my steps as far as which classes to take on my track to graduate. I wish I would have really just looked at that book like I need this, this, and this. No, don't give me those classes that don't mean nothing. Give me this, this, and this that put me on my track. That's why guys are graduating now in 3 years, because they're going to summer school and they actually starting their right direction. That's just in college. I wish I would have worked harder on the court as well. But to prepare for overseas, my college coach, Coach Denbrough, he always told me, like, you're good. You might sneak in the NBA, but most likely you're going to end up overseas. So he sent me to Argentina before my junior year. And before my senior year, he sent me to Italy to play on 2 all-star teams. And so he sent me down there, and he was like, this is where you're going to probably be at. I'm going to find somebody to pay for it. Somebody's going to sponsor your trip. And so I went to Argentina, and it was mind-blowing. And I went to Italy, and it was even worse. Like, it was crazy. I wasn't in no Milan. I was in like Bormio. Like it was some really terrible city. Well, it's a great winter city, but it was the summertime. So my coach prepared me to play overseas. Like I had overseas playing experience, but as far as like choosing an agent, starting my own bank account, wire transfers, just how to. I didn't know anything. Like, what's your routing number? I'm like, what's a routing number? They're like, they're like, well, who's your accountant? What's an accountant?
Right.
Did you file taxes yet? It's just et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They hit me with questions that I've never even heard of. I wasn't prepared mentally. I traveled everywhere with hot sauce. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got the red hot with me. I was closed-minded. I felt like that if they had a course for athletes, because they make athletes take all these dumb classes, why not prepare these athletes for life? Like, why not give you guys an actual class that can actually propel you to the next level? Why don't you guys prepare people to build a portfolio? Like everything I know about money, I learned on my own. I had to read every book I could about money because I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
No disrespect to my mom, but she was living check to check. She don't know how to save, X amount of, like I'm supposed to save over 10% of my salary every year. X amount is supposed to go into my portfolio every year. Like, my mom didn't know that. Like, and so I felt like it was these coaches' job to kind of prepare these kids, but it's also these kids to come in there with an open mind as well. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not only on the coaches. Like, you can't, because a coach can try to force feed you all day, but if you're not listening, it's not on them anymore. But it's also the coach has to start that conversation.
Absolutely.
I feel like my coach, he didn't leave me to drown, but he just didn't care if I swam or not. Like, he didn't say forget you, but he was like, he just didn't care one way or another. Like, if I came to him, hat in hand, begging him for help, he would help me. But if I didn't ask him for one thing for the rest of my life, he would be just fine either way. Like, you know, so I feel like that these coaches, you know, it's not your responsibility to take these kids and for 4 years and be done with them. It's your job to take a kid and make him into a man. It's your job as a college coach. It's your job is to take these young men and grow them into men and to have them prepared for the world. I wasn't prepared for half of the stuff that I didn't know anything about signing a lease for a car, taking out loans from a bank, like et cetera, XYZ. I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. Then I feel like that everybody around me, coaches, et cetera, teachers, advisors, just didn't care enough to help. You know, if you went back and asked them, I'm sure they would give you some guidance. But like, you know, this would be, you know, why they would be reacting instead of being proactive. Like, we need coaches to be proactive in these young men's lives, because a lot of men are making a lot of mistakes that could be avoided if they had better guidance.
Absolutely.
Preach. Our very first show, we talked about systemic racism. And I put it from a basketball perspective, where I said, you know, a lot of times just our degree selection is based off of systemic racism, right? You allow a kid to take a degree that's going to be the easiest, that they have absolutely no interest in, and you doing that because you want to make sure that kid can stay eligible and have the ability to play basketball for 4 years. And that's just continuing the problem of just promoting and graduating substitute teachers. So you touched on it, Ron, when you talked a lot about just being focused in the classroom. Carlos, you kind of you got into it from a degree standpoint as well, and kind of second what he was saying. Was the academic lack of attention your fault, their fault, or just the unknown? And when I say fault, I don't mean like point the finger fault, but it's
a joint venture. You know, more times than anything, these coaches, man, and no disrespect to the coaching world, but they're trying to preserve their jobs. So preserving their job, they have to do two things ultimately: graduate kids and win.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not graduating kids and they're not winning, they're going to get fired. Then they can't feed their family. So I don't want to say they don't care, but they are going to make sure that their investment is protected. And I don't like to talk about people as like numbers, but we're an investment, because the school's going to invest. You know, Akron U for a degree, let's say it costs $40,000. So a school's going to invest $40,000 into you. They're going to protect their investment. How are they going to do that? Okay, let's ease him into. Let's not put him into a real math class. Let's put him into a preparatory math class. See how he does with that. The school's paying for it, so the money for this class doesn't matter. But let's just put him in these preparatory class and see how that goes. Let's put him in prep English, and so. Like, that's putting every athlete behind the 8 ball. I took intro to college. I don't need intro to college. I went to a private school. So I didn't, like, you know what I'm saying? I took coaching. I took first aid and CPR.
I
like,
took
you know
both of them.
Right. Like, I don't need those. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't help me. Actually, it did help me because that's my major, but it ended up being my major because I had to make it my major because I had took so many of those type of classes. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I think that these student athletes are having better parents as far as being involved in their academics and making sure that their kids are taking things that are preparing them for the future. And my mom kind of trusted me too much with my own academic in my own career to make these choices that I wasn't equipped to make. Like, I wasn't prepared to make these decisions. Like, I didn't know what my major was. I know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in business. They told me I had to take econ. They told me I had to take economics. Oh, I'm out. Give me something else. Oh, they said, oh, you good at talking. Take communications. Like, all right. Like, I don't got to do math. Cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so they set us up for what is the easiest route instead of what's the preferred route that I want to take. You know what I mean? And so I wish that I would have had more vigilance in understanding that what I wanted instead of what they wanted for me.
Well, mine was I kind of have that same route because I wasn't passionate about school myself. But at the same time, I took them same classes that you took. I started out wanting to be like I wanted to my afterlife of basketball. I wanted to be an agent. Now I didn't know that I had to take all these business classes in the midst of trying to be an agent. So my freshman year, I'm going into taking all these business classes, and I wasn't feeling it. Like it was just boring classes, and we had to sit in there, get lectured, and I like to be hands-on with stuff. So not being hands-on and them showing me, how, to run that business, I just couldn't do it. So I dropped it. I dropped the class myself. I went and talked to them and dropped the class. Now that kind of goes to what you're saying. They would have sat me down and told me, look, you got to take these classes. You go focus on them. You go do them. This is going to help you with your future. Then I probably would have had a different approach to it. But like you said, to take both parties. I didn't. They told me I can drop it. I was cool with it. I moved on and got a communication degree. So, I mean, and I'm not even a communicator. That's the crazy thing. So, so, so it's like I wasted to getting the degree. I just focused on basketball. So that was my thing. So that kind of goes back what I was saying. Somebody sitting me down and having that guidance on telling me what I need to be doing instead of what I want to do, it probably been a way different road. And I probably would have had a degree going to something right now I had no problem going into or an easier route going into.
Let's go to the basketball side. Both of you are in mid-30s. It's hard for us to say that now. Time goes so fast. But
mid, I'm not mid yet.
Start 30s.
Give me my years, bro. I got 2 months.
I'm mid.
What things have you learned as a pro that's made you have a long-standing career? I mean, for you, Los, you broke 2 feet. I mean, you broke a foot. You had another injury. You ended up sitting out. And now, I mean, a lot of people on the call don't know, but since becoming a pro, you turned into being vegan and caring about your diet and the different type of ways you work out and the difference between your development in college to where your development as a pro. And it's like, hey, if I went back to college and I worked out this way, I'd be that much more dominant. So what are some things that you've done, diet, exercise, in the gym, working out, and more so talking to the coaches that may train players that never played the game? For a lot of us, it's easy to play the game because we just jump right into what made us successful. But there's a lot of coaches in the field that's never played. So if they never played, there's some things that they need to know that can help the players that they're coaching achieve at the highest level.
You want to go first, or you want me to go?
I can go.
All right, go ahead.
Well, for me, as far as now into thinking back in college, for one, my diet. I wish, on the road we eating pizza, chicken wing, we eating all this crazy stuff on the road because we young, our bodies can burn all that quick. Our metabolism is crazy. So just imagine right now, like Trav said, I'm vegan. Been vegan for 3 years. Now I have noticed a whole big transition as far as me healing and recovery. So I haven't been injured since college. I broke my foot. What was that? My sophomore year, junior year, sophomore year, one of the years. And the only reason I re-broke it because my foot didn't heal right the first time. So and then going into far as the training aspect of it, we do so much in college, man. Well, I don't know about now. I know coming up in our time, we did so much that we had no sense of doing it. Like we shouldn't have been doing it. We had nothing focusing on injury prevention. We didn't do none of that stuff. So now that I'm older and that's all I do during the summer, I work on stuff that prevent me from getting injured, not lifting super heavy, not doing all that stuff. Because only thing that is doing as you getting older is breaking your body down. We don't even know like how our body is going to develop because we are different. So knowing that if we going into every single workout regimen, as far as like the right dieting and doing these right exercises to help build these little muscles up to prevent us from getting injured, we probably would have came out being one of the best players. Like that, them little things can take us 5 or 6 notches up, not us even knowing it. Like, so I feel like I can be able to play against myself now and still be able to dominate myself. But only thing now, I don't have the speed, and that came with age. So the dieting thing, for one, was the most big thing, because the pyramid of what they teaching is about the drinking milk and all that stuff, all that junk is false. And a lot of that stuff a lot of the food that we intake is doing more damage to us than us just living our normal life. That's the most fuel that we put in our body that people don't even understand. So, yeah, for me, the dieting part and doing the right exercises to help build strength in my legs, to help me be explosive and get my speed right, was a big thing for me. And I think if I would have been doing that at 19, 20 years old, man, my career probably would have been way better than what it was as of today.
I agree with Los too, and that diet is important. I recently been trying to adjust my diet as well the last couple of years, just to watch what I've been eating. Just because, like you said, you put garbage in your body, you're gonna feel like garbage. But for me, if I would have known to actually work on the stuff that I'm going to do in the game, like, in college, like, you do so much extra stuff that you never use in the game, like, and so people always ask me, like, why you don't work out crazy, like you don't do. No, because I'm not doing that in the game. I don't do all that. I don't do between crossover, behind, spin, shoot a 3-pointer one leg. I'm not doing that. So I'm doing, like, I'm just being honest, I don't do that. I don't play like that. So only thing I do is I work on what I actually do in the game. Now, what I do in the game, I do it really, really well. And that's what I work on. I didn't, because everybody wants to have so much in their tool belt. Oh, I can do this, and this, and this. But your coach don't allow you to do that. Your coach don't even want you to do that. And so now you wasted all this time in the summer working on something you're never going to be able to use. So why don't you learn to work on the things that you're actually going to use in the games? I shoot a ton of mid-range shots. I shoot a ton of catch and shoot 3-pointers, and I shoot a ton of post moves, fadeaways, face-up jumpers, jab jumpers. That's what I do. That's what I do in the game. I wish that I would have been able to just work on those things instead of trying to do so much extra stuff. Like in college, they had us doing so much extra stuff that made no sense. And I wish that and now that I'm a pro, I wish that I would have watched more film in college and actually been able to, like, not being yelled at while I'm watching film, but actually being talked to. Like, you see this? Like, you see how he coming off the ball screen? He takes one dribble and he's passing it. You see how this guy, he overhelps. Like, not you're not in the defensive stance. Like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, like that's not that important. It's important, but it's not film worthy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, show me some stuff that I can get better from for myself and that I can learn from other people. Like, a lot of coaches show you negative film. Of course we need film to get better, but I need film also to show me where I can grow, like not what I did wrong. And so, like, a lot of coaches have film and it's just breaking people down. And I'm not saying film isn't important, but what kind of film are we watching here? Like, because I can learn and grow from positive stuff as well, and or even just, it's just a lot of stuff that I learned. And last but not least, what I've learned is how to talk to my coaches and see what they want from me. Because if there's an open line of communication from your coaches and you know exactly what he wants from you, he wants me to shoot more threes. All right, coach, I got you. Oh, you want me to hedge harder on the pick and roll? All right, cool, coach, no problem. But if you just say, oh man, you ain't playing no defense. Oh, why'd you shoot that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not helping me. Like, so you got to be able to communicate with your players. Sometimes you got to yell at them. I'm not saying that either. But what I'm saying is you got to have an open line of communication and a clear line, because once people know exactly what you're looking for, if they don't do it, it's their fault.
So just real quick, at what age or what point of your careers did you truly understand how to watch film?
Probably like 28. Like, I'm not gonna lie, probably like 20, 25, somewhere in there. I was grown. I was grown. Like, I had kids, so I was an adult when I really learned. But because I stopped listening to what the coach was saying and I started watching for me. Because if I continue to listen to these coaches, because I had some Serbian coaches, a lot of y'all, Serbian coaches are very tough, very strict, very angry, very animated. And so if you're watching this film with these kind of guys, you're going to get lost in how they're saying the message and not what they're saying. And so I had to start watching film for myself, taking the tapes at home, watching them by myself, just so I can get an understanding of, okay, I see what I did wrong here. Okay, I get what I'm doing, And so a lot of these guys should take the film home and watch it themselves, and so they can self-police, because there's no kind of waking up, but you wake yourself up.
Well, for me, I kind of understood it a little bit in college, just because we had our positioning coach sit us down with the guards, and he kind of broke it down to me in a way that which I understood. So when I would go home, I know what I did wrong and all that. As far as like breaking down other teams, I didn't understand that until I got older.
Got you.
And to touch back on what Rome said about the working out, doing all the YouTube, everything people see on YouTube. Hey, that separates a pro from an amateur, to be honest. Because when you go to a pro workout, only thing he's working on is the simple things on simple moves that he actually is going to use. All that, the cone stuff, spinning, that's very true. We don't got time for all that, man. We trying to get in and get out.
Man, let's get to this money, man. That's it. That's it. Get to the stuff you're gonna do and do it. And do it really well. Don't just, a lot of people become good and then they just stay good. You know what I'm saying? Don't become a good pick and roll player. Become a great one. All right, you good now. Become great. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to stretch your game out so far. All right, I'm good at the pick and roll. Let me work on some ball handling, shoot. No, become great at it. Work at stuff that you're actually going to work at. But that's what I don't understand, that people pay hundreds of dollars to learn how to dribble in the same place. And these are moves you're not going to ever do. And if you do them, you're going to get pulled out of the game.
Right, because you don't got enough time to go tween, cross, or whatever. You don't got that time. The game is so fast now. You don't got time for that, man. By the time you're doing all that, the defense back, you throw up a crazy shot, you getting subbed out.
Get to the money. Get to your shot. You know what I'm saying? Some stuff works, but if you break it down, let's just say each team has 2 guys that play ISO ball, and that's a lot. That's being generous. So there's 64 guys in the NBA out of 300 that can play ISO. You know what I'm saying? And that's rare. You know what I'm saying? That's the CJ McCollums, the Dame Lillards, the all-star. That's like an all-star. The top all-stars play one-on-one.
Right.
And that's rare. And they don't do it a lot. And so what makes you think that you're going to be able to do that? It really blows my mind. That's not going to happen. The higher, and this is something that people have to really put in their mind. The higher you go, the less you're going to be asked to do.
Mm-hmm. Fact. So that goes to what you were saying. Everybody that's under those superstars are really great at doing something. Either the shooting, controlling the team, rebounding, at something. So all that extra stuff, y'all can cancel that from y'all workout. For real.
Just leave wherever it's at. Just
We
leave.
got about 10 more minutes of me and us having a discussion. Then I'm gonna open it up for questions to take us to the conclusion. For Rome, well, we're gonna get into the political aspect of things now, right? At the college level, it's this big beef on likeness and image. You getting paid for your likeness, your image, the school that you at. It's also a big beef with black head coaches versus white head coaches, and how many black head coaches there are, with the exception of white head coaches. So Los, I'm gonna start with you first. I'm gonna have you cover the head coaching piece. Rome, I'm gonna have you talk about the likeness and image aspect of it. But Los, playing for a black head coach, and I'm sure over your years you played for a white head coach by now. I ain't seen any of the international coaches you played for, but
All of international.
Do you think
All of them.
do you think that has made an impact or a change, or has an impact on your game or your development as a player, as far as playing for a black head coach, playing for a white head coach, having black assistants, having white assistants?
I mean, truthfully, I'm just being 100%.
Everything we're talking about being 100. So if you ain't, I'm calling you out.
No, listen, I don't care on what type of coaches I play with. Long as I know what's going on. Now, the thing that's going on here with everybody, with everything else, it's a lot of good black coaches out there that's not getting that opportunity. So for me, growing up, me coming from basically an all black community or where I grew up, and then being able to go to a college where the guy who looks just like me is my head coach, I was really excited about that. You know what I mean? But just to get to see all these college coaches that's not getting that chance, and a lot of them who's trying to become these high D1 or high NBA coaches, a lot of them are athletes. So it's crazy that you can't get a great player to become a chance to become a high level coach, a head coach at any level, and that right there can inspire, you know, any kid, you know, that's coming from nothing, because pretty much a lot of us black kids really come from, you know, the hood, as they say. So, you know, being able to see, you know, black coaches around the world get an opportunity, that's a great thing for me. And you know, but it don't really change my thought on, you know, who I'm playing for. I just want the coach to come to give me the right respect, for one, teach me the game of basketball, because every level I get to, or whatever the team I go to, I want that coach to still lift my IQ up and lift my game up. So, but as we know, the ones that is our color probably understand us a little more, just because they know our background a little better and experienced it. So, I mean, I really don't have, you know, no tough criticism about that, but, you know, I just think they need to get their chance. The knowledge is just as high as any white coach.
So Rome, if you wanna add in on that, you can, but I also want to talk about the likeness and image standpoint, just because of your background and your history. I mean, St. V's made a lot of money off of you, your ability. Akron made a lot of money off of you and your ability, and then you had to start from the ground up as a pro. So touch on that if you want to touch on the other piece. And Los, I want to talk to you about the likeness and image also.
I'll talk about the coaching standpoint. You know, just like the quarterbacking thing in the NFL, which was a predominantly white position, is because they want people, because black people aren't perceived to be thinkers,
right?
You know, and so the perception is that black people don't think well. They may perform well, they may be good athletes, but they're not great thinkers. They're not great strategizers. And so for a long time, these positions are held by white people because they perceive black people as not being able to handle those positions intellectually. And so until black people started breaking down, white people had to give us these chances ultimately, because I have seen not a lot of black athletic directors, not a lot of black school presidents, So the people, not a lot of black people on these boards who hire these coaches. So for us, it's always saying like, we want a chance, but we can't give ourselves that chance because we're not even in a position to give ourselves a chance. And
Right.
so it's up to someone else. And when your future's in somebody else's hands, you don't never know the answer because it's up to somebody else's discretion. And so that's why I think there's so few black head coaches, because there's so few people in power to hire coaches in general. And so if you don't have nobody like you that hire coaches, why would they hire somebody that's not like them? But as far as the likeliness, man, every school should
Pay us.
They should pay if the program makes money, they should pay the kids. If the program, like, hear me, if the program makes money, they should pay the kid. Now, if you had a small D1 and your school is state funded and they're not making money, unfortunately, you shouldn't get paid. And it's not about guys or girls, because some girl programs are more profitable than a lot of male sports. So it's not about men or women, it's about profit. Now, if your school is making profit, or if your school is selling your jerseys, if your school has a TV deal, these players should be paid. I realized this when I was in college, that even the guy who swept the floors after the game was over made more money than I did that game. And they were there to see me. So the guy who took the tickets made more money than me, and the fans were there to see me. And so, of course, I feel like people should get paid only if they're profitable. Like, that's a big thing for me, because, like, you can't pay somebody. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. Like, what do you want if you're operating from debt, how can we give you any money? Now, if you want to go sell some T-shirts with your face on them and people buy them, I'm all for that too, because we live in a capitalistic country. And if you can go sell some T-shirts, go sell them. But other than that, that's just how I feel about it.
I mean, to piggyback off Rome, everything he said is right as far as the likeness.
So, Los, before you answer that, because let me ask you this. So Akron made a lot of money. Like, we played at Akron and it was sold out, and y'all made a lot of money. Los, you were the face of Eastern Michigan basketball. And we played in front of some stadiums that had 1,500 people, to where it wasn't really a lot of money being made. So as a player that's the face of an entire institution, would you feel some type of way if Rome was making $700 to play and you wasn't making a dime?
Yeah, I would feel some type of way. But to go off what he was saying, yeah, high major kids definitely should make, because they, get all the glam and glory. But at the same time, we should be able to sell whatever, get benefits for whatever. Like, I mean, go back to I don't want to bring LeBron up, but the LeBron situation, signed with the signed jerseys, like, how that stuff shouldn't be illegal when everybody else is making all this money off you. You can't do nothing off yourself, off your own name. Like, that don't make sense to me. So when we should be able, when we in school, we don't do nothing but class and sports. We can't go get a car, can't do none of that stuff, take any gifts, do none of that. We should be able to do that. They also say that we get free education, but we work for every dollar in that education.
And you're also bringing light to the university. So, like, when you come there and people see, oh, Carlos went there, people from Detroit are going to be like, yo, I know Los. He's from my hood. I might go to Eastern, or people who see, oh, Akron, you got a good basketball program. Like, oh, I love basketball. I want to go to Akron U now. Like, so it's bigger than just sports. Like, it crosses more than just sports. But at the same time, if your sport has to be a baseline for people to follow, like a guideline. Like, but you also sell everything. I don't care. If you got something to sell, you should be able to sell it.
Right. And that's why I think, like, we get banned for athletes getting banned for anything that got anything to do with them getting anything free. Like, how are you getting suspended for getting something for free? Like that is crazy to me. I know they doing it just off of who you is at that time, but the NCAA is doing the same thing. Well, the schools is doing the same thing. They getting money, like you said, just off who you is at that time. Like, you still a walking advertisement no matter where you go during that period. So you should be able to get money from being you.
Well, I want to open it up for some questions and get away from us, and then bring it back to like what life is after basketball for you guys. But first, Jimmy, you had a couple questions in the chat, and then I'm gonna follow up with Safet. So, Jimmy, ask away.
Thank you. My name is Jimmy Rizzo. I was a former manager at Illinois from 2013 to 2017. And then from 2017 to May of last year, I was a GA at Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri. Right now, I'm out of basketball, trying to get back in. But one of the questions I had for Romeo and Los about when you guys are talking about being prepared on the court more in basketball, I think footwork is a big thing that a lot of coaches don't emphasize. And the reason I brought it up is because I saw a video on Twitter about ISO Joe Johnson just working on his pivots before his TBT game, shooting around. Do you think, first of all, was footwork emphasized to you guys at all in college or in the pros? And do you think it should be emphasized more?
For me, it wasn't emphasized as much in college, but once I got to the pros and I got around some certain coaches, they slowed the game down a lot. Certain coaches do a lot of talking. Some coaches do a lot of yelling. And I did best with the coaches that did a lot of talking to me during practice, slowed the game down, really told me why I was doing something. Like, don't do it because just to do it. He's telling me, oh, you have to do this because this, and this will happen. And he really worked on my footwork, and that really helped my game because I play a lot in the mid post, and it helps a lot to have great footwork. And I feel like I have some pretty good footwork in the mid post, and it comes from a lot of emphasis from my coaches once I turned pro.
Yeah, footwork is great, man. I mean, being on the perimeter, I mean, guys really don't understand. If you don't have good footwork, I mean, you can't. It's hard for you to make any good moves, to be honest with you. I know and when I became a pro, just like any other person, you know, you start to learn better things, and you know, the game definitely slows down. In the college game, it's more. Well, for me, it was just more playing off of talent, quick reactions and stuff like that. And I also had a coach in college, Coach Mack, who would tell me when I'm overdoing stuff. So the footwork is definitely good. The jab series as a guard is one of the best things you can do to be more precise on your moves and getting past people. That goes back to what we were saying before. You don't have to do all them between the legs and cross and do all that stuff. Just by doing a simple jab move, that can get you past somebody just as quick as doing the other move.
Thank you. Then the other question I had, going back towards the image and likeness, I definitely agree that players should be paid, especially if they're making money, and kind of like what you guys were talking about, you know, you should be able, if you're able to make money, putting your face or name on a t-shirt or a jersey, you should definitely be compensated and able to do that. But I do think there's kind of a gray area that people are going to say, well, if you can do that, then they should be paid for everything. Then it gets into that gray area of boosters possibly paying kids in high school to come to their school. So do you think there is a gray area and there's a line that should be drawn? Or do you think if they pay them one way, then it's just kind of free game for everything?
I mean, well, let's be honest. The booster thing is already coming out, so they've been doing that. So I don't think that would change. I don't think it'd change much as far as that. But you know, but only way if we'll find out if they give them a chance. You know what I mean? And then you can put them rules in place. But if you don't give them no chance to even see if it will work, it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that at certain levels that the boosters are paying these kids. I didn't have no boosters, but I wish I would have in retrospect. But no, but I think there should be a line though, drawn. If a booster buys 100 T-shirts, so be it. Like, you can't control everything, you can't police everything, and you also have to let these guys be capitalistic. Just say, for instance, if you wanted to start your own T-shirt company and your mom goes and buys 5 shirts, you're gonna tell her, "Oh, mom, don't go buy these because you're my mom." Like, no, like, you're still trying to make money, but I do feel like they shouldn't just give guys cash. Though I do agree that that's a little bit too far.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
No problem.
No problem.
And Coach Foy will go with you after.
Hey, Travis, man, just want to say, man, appreciate you for putting this platform on, man. These shows been great. Fellas, appreciate y'all, man, and what y'all been sharing. I got a quick question for you guys, man, especially because y'all been in the game for a minute. Y'all played for a lot of coaches. What are some characteristics that have separated the real from the fake? The coaches that you really rocked with and wanted to run through a wall for.
For me,
oh, go ahead, bro.
Go ahead. I mean, for me, I like coaches that hold everybody accountable. Like, from the best player to the guy who don't play. Don't yell at the worst player like he's an idiot, and then let the best player do 5 turnovers in a row and act like nothing happened. So I like, those are my favorite coaches that holds everybody accountable. He talks to everybody the same, no matter who you are. And he's a teacher on and off the court. He talks to you about the game, and he teaches you the game and teaches you about life as well. So those are my favorite type of coaches, and but more than anything, you just hold everybody accountable, man. I don't like those coaches who like pick on certain guys, like just because they're quiet or just because, he's a nice guy. Like, that's corny to me. Don't like, so I never rock with those kind of coaches.
Yeah, I say the same, man. I want a coach that really cares about the game of basketball in itself. I don't like coaches who go back and forth saying this about another player, saying stuff behind player backs, and being fake to one player, and then when you get in his face, he's all cool with you. Like, I don't like those type of coach. I like the coach to be upfront with you, like Rome said, hold everybody accountable. And, those actually the coach that, do all the majority of the winning, because their players have that trust in them, and they know, and I know that they got your back 100%. So for me, that's the type of coach I like. I don't like the fake coaches that's going to do all the riff-raff and it just talk.
No, thank you, guys. I appreciate that, man, because I don't know if you guys saw this stuff on social media, with the Penn State coach and the player and stuff, man. Like, for me, I'm really passionate about, becoming a coach and making sure I'm good and I do right by the players, man, because I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of these coaches, especially at the college level, don't pay as much attention to.
What happened at Penn State?
Yeah, I don't know.
So
what happened at Penn State?
So basically, he had transferred after his freshman year because the coach continued to use racial slurs towards him, telling him playing like he need a noose on his neck, things of that nature. He brought it to the AD. The parents came in, brought it to the AD, and then they made it seem as if he wasn't loyal. I mean, he wasn't bought into the group, and he's like, man, I just feel like you're making racial comments to me that you don't even realize that are racial. And he's like, well, I'm from the North, so because I'm from the North, we don't think that those things should be offensive to you. And then when the year was over with, he asked to transfer. Would be the general statement of really what took place. So
nah, they ain't no coach. Nah. Yeah, I couldn't play for that coach. I would have, couldn't do that one.
No, that's too far. Coaches nowadays are trying to find anything to motivate these kids because a lot of these kids are, let's be honest, they built different. And so they're trying to find different ways to motivate him. I don't know this coach personally, but he's dead wrong for saying that. I don't care where you can be from, Canada. You still never say nothing like that to anyone.
That ain't motivating anyway.
Yeah.
Fat, you fine, man. Great questions, great insight. Coach Foy, you got it.
Hey, everybody. I'm Aisha Foy, Director of Recruiting at University of Kentucky. First, I want to say thank you guys for being on. Rome, I'm a huge fan of More Than the Game, and not just because of one player, because of y'all whole story as a group. So you got a fan right here. But my question is, earlier in the conversation, we talked about you wish that the coach would have prepared you more. And Travis, this is a question for you as well, like, because you always say, about the stuff after basketball. And I wish I would have known this. So I wish a coach would have sat me down and said, this is what you need to do. So I feel like that a lot of that is going on now where, the athletic department are trying to provide financial classes, bringing in speakers, career development things, and the kids still don't want to go, or they're not really taking it seriously. So and then one of you guys mentioned that, you can't force feed them. So I'm trying to figure out, like, what is the balance between something like what you wish you would have had, and we all know that we're hard-headed when we're athletes and stuff like that. Maybe somebody did say it and maybe we just didn't listen. So I'm trying to figure out what's the balance between feeling like what you needed was provided versus you just didn't listen or something like that. Like,
for me, if somebody would have been like, Antoine Walker, and I'm like, yeah, I know Antoine Walker. Like, he made $100 million. Like, oh yeah, I know he made $100 million. He has less than 2 now. Then you know what I'm saying? Wow, you got my attention. Or if you say, hey guys, we got a financial guy coming in today at 5 right after practice. If you want to stay, like, man, I'm not like, oh man, I'm tired. I'm going home. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you see how the presentation different, because it's just about how you present it to these guys to make them eat it. Like, like if you present somebody cake, they're gonna want the cake. If you present them candy, they like candy. But if you present them cough syrup, they're gonna, that's medicine nasty. It's good for you, but it's nasty. You know what I'm saying? So like, but if you present it in a way where that shock, where it gets their attention, like, hold on, like, or you even say like anything just to get someone's attention about whatever topic you're talking about. Because if you just come with, oh, we got a financial guy come in, or we got a psychological guy coming to talk about your state of mind, then everybody's going to like clam up. But if you tell them like, hey, Kevin Love, he talked about his state of mind. Kyrie talked about how important it is. And these guys are going to start listening because, it's presented in a way that makes them want to listen. You just can't just throw, that stuff in people's face, because they're going to just blatantly ignore you. I know I would at that time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, well said, Ron.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is the purpose of it, Coach. Going from being a player to now being in the coaching seat, the difference between a good coach and a great coach is their ability to get you to realize the importance of what they're trying to tell you to do. If you tell a player that if you flip the ball screen, you're gonna score 6-10 points a game. If you go see this financial advisor, you're gonna make 600 to 100K more a year. So it's just, that's our goal. And you are what you emphasize. We got to emphasize the importance of life after basketball. And the more coaches realize that, the better leaders we'll produce. So great insight. I think Ron put it in very good perspective. And don't feel bad, Coach Foy. Los watches more than the game before every game too. And he watched it
every single game, Ron.
Ron caught it on the fast break, right? And he put it high off the glass, and Los caught it, and he caught Los.
Hey, bro, we're not doing that. What you doing?
It's definitely more than the game.
He did not have to bring that up. Trav,
right.
I had to. Los put me on a lot of highlights, man. We had some battles in practice.
I also want to comment on Romeo, hearing like your recruiting story is mind blowing to me. Like knowing that, you wish you had more guidance, and the way just it all went down, it's just mind blowing.
Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff I would never say live on that's being recorded that happened. Maybe if we had a conversation one day, I'll tell you what really happened. Undertone, like a lot of stuff. And just to find out that college is a dirty game, man. And having my personal friends become college coaches and the stuff that they tell me that other people are doing, maybe maybe it's them that's doing it and saying it's somebody else, but it's a very dirty, disrespectful game. And I hate it's necessary evil for a lot of people to reach their goals, but a lot of stuff goes on in college that is just mind blowing. Like that when I heard about it, I just couldn't believe that was happening to me. But yeah, man, that was my experience. Luckily, it worked out. A lot of things worked out in my favor. I always say God guides my steps, so I don't even stress about it. I just live my life and prepare for the best and just let God guide my steps.
Yeah,
No doubt.
We got time for one or two more questions. Coach,
I ain't gonna hold you, Trav. I got time for one more. I got to go.
Cool. Coach Finkel.
Yeah.
Last one.
Gotcha. Coach Finkel here. Yeah, kind of all the stuff you guys have been saying, just a side note, I've definitely been in situations with players like that. Less guidance, or should have been guided better. But going back like to previously what you said, you mentioned like you wish you wouldn't have been put in these classes. So I definitely had players that, get put in classes just because they're filler classes, or because if you do drop a class, it just adds in because it's an easy class, you get an A. So it keeps you eligible. So if you were to be in that situation again, you're just in general, like with the majors, because coaches want you to what they call cluster major, because so you guys can all practice at the same time. What would kind of be your reaction in those meetings with those academic advisors, trying to figure out your path?
Now that I'm an adult, I can't, I would tell them straight up, I don't care about that. That has nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't tell coach to schedule practice at this time. That's not fair to me or my life that I want to do something that I can't do it. You should have told me that before I came here. Personally, that's my, now that I'm an adult. At that time, I probably just took whatever class they gave me and dealt with it. But honestly, I feel that coaches pull kids. I know I was pulled out of a lot of classes too early. I may have got a lot of slow starts, and then the coach just pulled me out of a class, like, oh, you're not going to pass that, and pull me. And so just so I can be eligible. And I feel like a lot of coaches don't give these kids enough time to actually go through these courses and actually figure out if they're going to actually learn something or pass the class. I know I've been 2-3 weeks into a class and I've been pulled, and it's too late to join another one. And so now, my credits I'm 9 credits for the semester. And so I feel like that these guys need to have better guidance outside of people who work for the university. Because the people that work for the university have the university's best interest. They work for the university. They don't work for you. And so you need to get a outside person to look at your schedule, look at your course, and guide you to graduate on a 3-year path.
And then real quick before you go, Roman, I'm gonna have you answer the last two, Loves. What's next? When the ball stop bouncing, what's next?
Man, I've been preparing for it for so long that now that it's here, I'm still not ready. During this quarantine, it gave me a time to slow down, and I started doing investments with my brother-in-law, and he's been doing real estate, so I jumped in it with him, and he does all the repair work himself. And so I did all the repair work myself. I don't know how to do none of the stuff, but he's teaching me as he's going. I laid a hardwood floor from the beginning to the end. I laid it, I sanded it, I stained it, I polyed it, and that's something that I would have never done if I didn't have this time to learn I'm learning new traits and I'm learning new skills. And for me, I don't know what's next, honestly, but I'm just trying to prepare and just keep adding to my tool belt. So when I do retire, that I can just pick my job instead of having the job pick me.
Cool, man. We appreciate you coming on. We're going to finish up the last 10 minutes, but I'm going to let you go. Mad respect from playing against you to watching your career to knowing what took place prior to you getting to college and just your whole story. Your ability to separate yourself from LeBron, you know what I mean, to create your own brand, just following you on Twitter and doing those things, man. You should be very pleased with where you come from to where you ended up at. So I'm grateful for you joining, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I guess Los told me I had to get on here, man. So I got on here. But thanks for having me. I appreciate that love. My goal in my life was to stand on my own too. To prove that I can be my own man. LeBron cast a pretty big shadow, but I've been fighting a long time to stand on my own. So that's just what I've been trying to do, man. So I thank you for seeing it. Thank you for appreciating it. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for listening.
Indeed. Los, we're gonna let you answer these last two questions, Johns, and then what's next?
Yo, what'd you say?
I say so. John asked a question as far as classes and those things that Rome answered. I want to give you a chance to answer that one, and then just take us to what's next. Like, when the ball stop bouncing, where we going? What we doing?
As far as classes?
Yeah.
Well,
John, restate your question, John. Coach Finkel.
Oh, that's all right. So like Romeo talked about how he was putting these like quote unquote classes that he didn't need. It took him too long to graduate. He had to pay out of pocket. You know, if you were put back into those situations with those academic advisors, and you were able to figure out that these were the classes you didn't need, they were just putting them in to kind of keep you eligible in case you withdrew or dropped the class. You know, what would your reaction be to those meetings? You know, what would you say to those advisors or those coaches that put you in those meetings?
Well, for me, I had a different outcome around. I still was able to graduate, so which was a great thing. But I mean, I had like I said before, I had a communication degree. I mean, I'm not a communicator, so but I still wanted to be able to get put in lifelong situations. So it's just the fact that, you know, I wish I would have took a better I can't even think of the word now. A better shoot, man, I just went blank, man, my bad. Better degree, my bad. Man, I'm losing my mind right now. I wish I would have got a better degree just so, you know, I can go into a better situation saying, yo, I got this type of degree instead of a communication degree. I mean, communication degree don't ring a bell and at all, to be honest. So just the fact that they would have let me stay in that business class, or made me stay in that business class and made me work, I think it would have been a better chance for me after when it comes time for me to use that degree.
So let's go to the time to use the degree. What's next?
Well, for me, what's next, man? Well, I'm probably start doing, you know, a lot of training, you know, probably getting into some coaching. I'm not absolutely sure about the coaching, but I know the training thing is gonna be the most thing for me. You know, I have a son, 12 years old, and I've been training him, and right now he's a pretty decent, you know, player. So just to see his development and knowing my knowledge, I feel like I need to, you know, continue to give that to the kids. And, you know, I like to see kids develop, and, you know, that's the route I'm gonna end up going.
Good. Anything you want to add to the conversation before we get ready to close up?
I just want to say thank you, man. Thank you for the platform. You know, thank you everybody for listening. You know, doing this thing right here we call sports or basketball, everything that we do is, you know, is about who you know, and, you know, and not being able to see everybody's face, but just knowing just that I can get my name out there and brand. I appreciate everybody from talking. I know the people that ask questions, I will remember y'all face. And I pray that everybody is doing good during this Corona pandemic, and hope that everybody is well and continue to, use your mind and find whatever you can do out of this situation to, make it better.
Many of you don't know, Los was in my wedding. He was like, we best friends. We've been best friends for a very long time. So it was an absolute when I decided to do this show with Rising Coaches, that I was going to get one of the best pros in the international game on here. But Los, man, I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for the mentorship. I'm excited to see you grow once the ball stops bouncing. For him, being an inner city Detroit kid, it's just exciting to see him have a degree, raise a family, and use basketball as a resource. And then as this is the final show for Rising Coaches, I think for us as coaches, my personal opinion is that the true report card of Keith Dambrot, the true report card of Charles Ramsey will be presented here soon once the ball stops bouncing. Did they do what's necessary in order to guide Carlos, in order to guide Romeo through the rest of their lives after basketball? For us as coaches, I know for me as a coach, it is my passion to make sure my players have the best possible lifestyle after basketball is over. And that was really the main reason, by having epic moments, by educating professionals and integrating coaches. Because I don't care if you're black, white, brown, blue, or purple. If you're coaching kids, you got an opportunity to change the world and to change a life. Very grateful for everybody that tuned in every week and everybody that popped in along the way. Can't express enough gratitude for Rising Coaches as far as creating a platform for us as coaches who don't come from those very big umbrellas, to put our name out there, to put our stamp on something, to build a brand. So with all the coaches on here, I'm excited to see all of you grow. I'm excited to meet all of you in person. And I have a website, travislewis32.org. It has all my contact information on there. You can follow me on Twitter at Coach Lewis SFS. And let's stay in touch. Let's build. Let's grow. I got a statement that says, don't be great by yourself, because then you diminish your impact. So I'm always here to help, always here to lend a helping hand if necessary. So thanks for the 5 episodes and the encore, and stay safe.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Coach.